Hey guys, it's Miss Smith. We're going to be doing Unit 13.1, Calculating Sales and Income Tax. Okay, first thing, we're going to talk about sales tax. We've already talked about sales tax when we did markup, which in your notes, you're going to fill out a tax imposed by state or local governments. Okay, and we're going to be setting up a percent markup. Okay, with our part over W equals percent over 100. Okay, so we've already done this. It's just a definition. A tax imposed by state or local governments, and we're going to be finding out what the tax is by using percent markup. Okay, so the review question. An Office Depot has a backpack that costs $50. The sales tax rate is 8%. How much will we pay including this tax rate? Okay, so I just want to give you a little bit of background. Texas has around an 8% tax rate. Other states in the United States have different rates. So it could be maybe 7% or 9% tax. It just depends on where you live. So that's just a little bit of background of what a sales tax is. Okay, so now we're going to use our P over W equals percent over 100. So where would my $50 go? Very good. It would replace whole, and then we would have X here because we're trying to find out how much it is including tax. So what would go up here? Very good. 108 because we add to 100 because this is a markup because we're paying 100% of it plus 8% of tax. Okay, so now I'm going to use cross products. So 100 times X equals 108 times 50, which I should get 5,400. And then I taught my class a quick way to divide by 100 would be to move your decimal over. So my answer would be $54 for the backpack, including an 8% tax rate. Okay, this should just be review. Okay, now here's the new part. Okay, so this whole unit is on calculating federal withholding. Okay, so federal withholding is something that the government takes away from you monthly. So, I make an amount monthly for teaching. It's my job. So they take away a percentage each month for a tax. So that's how the federal government makes their money. So let's start off with gross pay. Gross pay is a worker's pay before any amount is deducted. So notice my bolds is going to be what you're going to be writing in the blanks. Okay, so federal withholding, which is under net pay, I put this in a different order on my PowerPoint. Federal withholding is an amount of employees' pay that an employer sends to federal government as a partial payment of the employee's yearly income tax. So federal withholding is just a percentage you give to the government. So net pay is what you get is the amount that remains after all deductions are taken from the gross pay. So copy this down in your formula. Here's my formula. I have to calculate net pay, I get my gross pay minus total deductions is going to be equal to my net pay. Okay, so where does federal withholding come into? Okay, total deductions include federal withholding, and they can include like your mortgage on your house, or it could include Medicare, some type of insurance. So total deductions are a lot of things. They could be different things, and the problem will tell you when it includes these additional things. But I just want you to know that federal withholding is a part of your deductions, and we'll figure out that in the next problem. Okay, so here's an example. Katie's monthly gross pay is $4,000. That's how much Katie makes in a month. So federal withholding is 15% of her pay, and her other total deductions come up to $320. So guys, we're going to have to figure out what 15% is and add it to $320. And then we're going to have to subtract from $4,000. So the question's asking, what is her net pay each month? So down here, we have our formula with variables. So I'm going to rewrite that we have our gross pay minus our deductions is going to be equivalent to our net pay. So here's our formula. We're just plugging it in. But first we have to find out the amount that is deducted from federal withholding. This is a percent markup proportion. So go ahead and write on the side, go ahead and write on the side, part over whole equals to percent over 100. So what is my whole here? Now we're not focusing on 320 right now at all. We're focusing on what is 15% of 4,000. So that's what we're focusing on, what 15% of 4,000 is, so we can figure out how much we pay in federal withholding and then add it to 320. So 15% of 4,000, we are going to definitely have 4,000 as our whole. And then we have to figure out what our percent is. Now guys, we're not going to pay 100% and 15% of it right now. What we're going to figure out is what 15% of 4,000 is. So in this problem, it's a little bit different from a markup. You're going to figure out what 15% of 4,000 is. So this is a little bit different, but no one panic. It's almost the same thing. You're just not adding this to 100. So you just put in directly the percent here. So we do 100x. Oops. Oh, goodness gracious. Just messed up. Okay, so you're going to do 100x is equivalent to 4,000 times 15. And that's going to equal to 60,000. Now we're going to divide both sides by 100. So you should get 600 is how much you're going to pay in just federal withholding. Okay? Now, we have to find what other total deductions and add it to the federal withholding. So what was our other deductions? Okay, good. We had 320, and then we're going to add it to 600. So how much am I taking away from my starting point, which is 4,000? How much am I taking away? Very good. I would be taking away $920 each month for my federal withholding. So to calculate net pay is what we're trying to find each month. So my gross pay was, it'll tell you in the problem, was 4,000. Minus, what was my total deductibles? Good, 920. So pause me and do that math. Okay, so we should have gotten $3,080 for net pay. This is how much net pay would cost. So this is the amount that you're going to be given each month when you take federal withholding and other deductions out. Okay? All right, now we're going to be talking about income tax. I don't know if your parents have ever talked to you about April 15th. April 15th is when the government takes away an amount of tax from you, but remember, you're paying federal withholding. Some people pay federal withholding already. So sometimes you get money back on April 15th, and sometimes you, and it's called tax day. Sometimes you get money back. Like I get $1,000 each year about from the government because I've already paid my federal withholdings, and my tax rate is less. So, but some people who don't, who have different jobs and different, tax rates, then they might have to pay the government on April 15th. So a lot of people don't like this date, April 15th. You can ask your parents about it. They can kind of tell you more about income tax. Okay, so income tax is the same thing as taxable income, same word. It's the total amount of income minus your deductions. Okay, so here's a formula just like the one we just did. It's almost exactly the same. So when we do these types of things, you have your initial money, which is your gross income. Then you're going to minus the total amount of deductions that you have. And then that's going to give you your taxable income or your income tax. Okay, so when we have a problem, we need to make sure that we gather information and plug it in this formula. So G minus our total deductibles is going to equal our income tax. Okay, kind of like net pay. Okay, so this one's a little bit different though. When we want to figure out, now everyone see your table. I don't have a table on here because I didn't transfer it, but everyone see your table that says if your taxable income is, and it says if it's at least $1 to $8,700, then it says $8,700 to $35,350. Okay, so we're going to find where Jonah's taxable income, if he makes $26,300, where would he be in? What is his tax percent? Good. He's between 8,700 and 35,350. So he's in between those two, because this number is in between those two. So he has a 15% tax rate yearly. Okay, so we know that his federal withholding is already calculated. Perfect, we have that. Okay, and so Jonah's taxable income is this, and he has to pay 15% to the government on this day. So this is not right, so mark that out. We're going to figure it out. That's from another thing. Okay, so if we want to know what 15% of 26,300, we have to do a part over whole equals percent over 100 to find out how much I'm paying on this day. Now I know how much I already have paid with federal withholding, so we're good there. We don't have to find that. Now we have to find how much he's going to be taxed. Okay, so the total is going to be 26,300. I'm trying to find X, which is my part. And then I want to find out what 15% of this number is. So unlike markup and mark down, we're just placing the percent there to figure out what it is. Okay? Okay, so when I multiply these together, I'm going to kind of do my work down here. I have 100. Cross products are equivalent to each other. So 26,300 is going to be equivalent to 394,500. Okay, now I need to isolate my variable by dividing. So I showed my class a quick way. It was just to move your decimal over. So the tax that is due for Jonah would be $3,945. That's how much tax is due, because we need 15% of that from the table. So 15% of 26,300 is 3,945. Okay, so now we got to see on this day, on April 15th, tax day, does Jonah owe the government money and pay an additional amount, or does he get a refund? Well, how are we going to figure that out? Well, this is your formula. We have to subtract, we have to take the difference between federal withholding, and we have to see what his tax was on his taxable income. So we're going to do 4,059 minus 3,945. Now mine's not lined up very good. Oh goodness, mine's not lined up very good. So, good grief. Okay, sorry guys. Okay, so what would I get? Okay, I got a positive $114. So that's, the government owes him money. So he's in good shape. He's already paid his federal withholding, and he only got taxed this much. So this is how much is left over. Okay, now guys, remember, make sure you answer the questions. I went through this really fast. This is very confusing because this is adult stuff, but it's good that we know it now. But make sure you scroll down and do the questions so you can kind of read over the notes again. You don't have to master this tonight. It's just an overview of what we're doing tomorrow, just to give you a head start. So I hope you all have a wonderful night. Don't forget to do your quiz.